Welcome to the Heartbreak Chronicles, where every story is a raw reflection of life. Hit that subscribe button to stay tuned, give us a like to show your support, and share this episode with your friends. Don't forget to leave a comment and let us know what you think. Now, let's dive into today's story. My name is Jack Mitchell, and I'm a partner at a prestigious law firm in Manhattan, New York. At 32 years old, I've been navigating the city that never sleeps for a full decade. 10 years, not too long to say, not too short to say, but enough to make a person from the spirited rash into this worldly and smooth look now. My office is on the 45th floor of the Empire State Building, and the hustle and bustle of Manhattan hits me every morning when I push open the window. The Statue of Liberty looms in the morning light in the distance, while Central Park is lush and green in the near distance. Landscapes like this used to make my heart pound, but now, I just feel numb. Perhaps because I was too busy at work, or perhaps because my married life was too uneventful. The relationship between my wife, Robin, and I seem to be fading with the passage of time. We've been married for 10 years, no kids, two people just stuck together in the steel jungle that is New York City. Robin was a painter and had a studio of her own in our apartment on the Upper East Side. Every morning when I go out, she is still sleeping. By the time I come back in the evening, she is already in the drawing room, not knowing what she is creating. Our conversations, apart from good morning and good night, consisted of trivial chores. Our neighbors are Brooke E. and Cheryl Connors. Bruce is the owner of a chain of restaurants and is a minor celebrity in New York. Their family lived right above us in a duplex apartment that was more luxurious than ours. Bruce and I have been close friends for years, and we often play golf, watch games together, and occasionally meet for a drink at the bar. Cheryl is a typical wealthy Upper East Side wife who spends her days attending charity dinners and fashion parties. She and Robin had a pretty good relationship, and from time to time they'd meet up for a spa day or to browse the luxury stores on Fifth Avenue. Just yesterday, I finished a 3-week court session. This case involved an intellectual property dispute for a large technology company and was of critical importance to our firm. The moment the judge announced that we had won the case, I felt the exhaustion sweep away. I can't wait to get home and share the good news with Robin. However, the moment I pushed open the door to my home, a strange feeling came over me. The house was unusually neat, and the air was lightly scented with flowers. I walked into the living room to find a bouquet of freshly pruned roses on the coffee table next to 2 tall glasses and an open bottle of red wine. "Robin," I called out, and there was no response. I walked into the kitchen and saw that there wasn't a single dirty dish in the sink, and the counter was spotless. That wasn't like Robin. She wasn't a slob, but she definitely didn't qualify as a housekeeper either. Just then, I heard a noise coming from the bedroom. I walked over quickly and pushed open the half-hidden door. Robin is standing in front of a full-length mirror, straightening her dress. She was wearing a black halter dress I'd never seen before, with a hemline that came just above her knees. Her hair was also carefully groomed, the slightly curly ends falling over her shoulders and glowing softly in the light. "Jack?" she asked, visibly taken aback to see me. "Why are you back so early today?" I froze in place, not knowing what to say for a moment. Robin rarely gets dressed up like this. Even for our anniversary, she usually just throws on a casual sundress. "The case is over today. We won." I replied mechanically, but couldn't take my eyes off her. "Are you going out?" An unnatural look flashed across Robin's face, but he quickly regained his composure. "Oh yeah? Congratulations. I was just about to send you a message when Cheryl asked me to go to a painting show opening, and I thought you might be late, so I said yes." I nodded, though I always felt something wrong inside, but couldn't put my finger on it. "All right then, you have fun. I'll probably go to bed early. I've been so tired these last couple weeks." Robin came over and gave me a soft kiss on the cheek. "You've worked hard. Get some rest. I won't be back too late." I could smell the faint scent of perfume on her, a fragrance I had never smelled before. She never liked to wear perfume, always saying that the smells interfered with her inspiration when she painted. Looking at Robin's back as she stepped on her high heels and left, I suddenly felt a pang of inexplicable loss. Have we really drifted apart to such an extent? Do I not even know what events she's going out for anymore? I shook my head, trying to shake off the jumbled thoughts. Maybe this case is so exhausting that it's making me paranoid. I decided to pour myself a drink and relax. Just as I was about to head to the living room, my cell phone suddenly vibrated. It was a text from Bruce. "Dude, are you free to play golf tomorrow?" I was about to reply when I suddenly remembered Robin saying that Cheryl had asked her to go to a painting show. If Cheryl was busy organizing a painting show, how did Bruce have time to play golf? A horrible thought suddenly flashed through my mind. I tried to push it down, but it was like a seed that was rapidly taking root inside me. I picked up my cell phone and hesitated before dialing Cheryl's number. "Hello, Jack," said Cheryl, her voice sounding a little puzzled. "Why are you calling me so late?" I took a deep breath and forced myself to stay calm. "Hi, Cheryl. I just wanted to ask how the opening of the painting show you organized went." Robin just went out to attend. There was silence on the other end of the line for a few seconds. "What painting show?" Cheryl sounded even more confused. "I'm not organizing any painting show. In fact, I'm in Chicago on business right now, and I won't be back in New York until tomorrow." I felt my blood instantly freeze. "Oh yeah." I tried to control my voice. "Maybe I'm remembering it wrong. I'll bother you then. Good night." After hanging up, I stood still and felt the whole world spinning. Robin lied to me, but why? Where the hell did she go? My eyes fall on the open bottle of red wine on the coffee table. Suddenly, everything was clear. The bouquet of roses, the bottle of wine, and Robin's well-dressed. No, it couldn't be. I shook my head, trying to chase away that horrible thought. But all the clues pointed to a fact I didn't want to believe. I grabbed my jacket and car keys and decided to go and figure it out. If my guess is wrong, that's great. But if it's right, I took a deep breath and walked out of the house. Whatever the truth is, I have to face it. Hashtag Betrayal and Revenge. Part 2, Final Edition. I drove the car and wandered aimlessly through the streets of New York. Manhattan is lit up at night, but to my eyes, the lights are blinding. My brain was a mess, with possibilities flashing through my mind. Before I knew it, I found myself driving near Bruce's restaurant. The restaurant is his flagship, located in a beautiful building in the heart of Manhattan. I've had dinner with Robin here countless times, but at the moment, this place gives me a wave of nausea. I was about to turn around and leave when I suddenly saw a familiar figure walk out of the side door of the restaurant. It was Robin. She was wearing the same black halter dress I'd seen earlier and had a small bag in her hand. My heart beat instantly faster and my palms began to sweat. Just then, another figure followed. Even in the dim streetlight, I could recognize that it was Bruce. They stood in the doorway talking about something. Then Bruce reached out and put his arm around Robin's waist. I felt my blood instantly freeze. I stared at them dead in the face, hoping it was just a horrible dream. But what happened next completely shattered my last illusions. Bruce lowered his head and kissed Robin. Not the kind of face-to-face salute that friends give each other, but a deep, passionate kiss. Instead of pushing him away, Robin responded enthusiastically. My mind went blank, and I just felt like I had been punched hard in the chest. My hands unconsciously gripped the steering wheel so tightly that my knuckles turned white from the exertion. Their kiss lasted about half a minute, then broke apart. Bruce said something, and Robin smiled and nodded. Then, holding hands, they walked to the parking lot. I don't know what kind of mood I was in to follow. Anger? Pain? Or resignation? All I knew was that I had to figure it all out. They got into Bruce's car and quickly disappeared into the night. I started the car and kept a distance to follow. About 20 minutes later, Bruce's car pulled up in front of a fancy hotel. I watched them get out of the car and walk into the hotel lobby with their arms wrapped intimately around each other. I parked across the street and pondered what to do next. Go straight in and question them? Or wait here until they come out? Just as I was hesitating, I noticed the glass doors in the hotel lobby reflecting the elevator. I stared there, hoping to see something. It wasn't long before I saw Robin and Bruce walk into the elevator. I quickly got out of the car and walked quickly to the hotel. The elevator doors were closed as I entered the lobby, but I noticed the numbers above the elevator were changing. Finally, it stopped at 18. 18th floor. I mumbled the number in my mind as I walked to the other elevator. In the elevator, my hands were shaking. When the elevator doors opened on the 18th floor, I took a deep breath and stepped out. The hallway was quiet, with only a few doors. I stood there, not knowing which one to knock on. Just then, I heard Robin's voice, coming from the right. I walked over to the door from which the voice had come and pressed my ear against it. I could clearly hear Robin's laughter and Bruce's low voice talking. I don't know how long I stood in the doorway. I just felt my whole body's blood boiling. Finally, I took a deep breath and knocked hard on the door. The door opened and Bruce stood there, wearing only a bathrobe. At the sight of me, his face instantly turned pale. "Jack," he stammered, what are you doing here?" I didn't answer. I just pushed him away hard and walked into the room. Robin was sitting on the bed, again wrapped only in a bathrobe. When she saw me, she shrieked and immediately pulled the covers up over herself. "Jack, I can explain." Robin spoke up, fear in her voice. "Explain what?" I sneered. "Explain how you betrayed our 10-year marriage? Explain how you slept with my best friend?" Bruce came over to me and tried to calm me down. "Jack, calm down. We can talk." I turned and punched him in the face, and Bruce staggered back, hitting the wall. "Talk?" I snarled. "You're fucking my wife, and now you're telling me you want to talk?" Robin ran over to me crying and trying to pull me down. "Jack, please, listen to me." I shook her hand off, feeling a wave of nausea. "Don't touch me," I growled lowly. "You two make me sick." I turned to leave, but Bruce snapped, "Jack, I love Robin. It's not just a physical relationship, we truly love each other." I stopped and slowly turned around. "Truly in love?" I sneered. "What about Cheryl? What are you going to do about your marriage?" Bruce was silent. I looked over at Robin, who was keeping her head down, tears slipping silently down her face. "You guys are pathetic," I said, disgust in my voice. "Enjoy your true love." "Robin, I'll have a lawyer contact you tomorrow." With that, I turned and left the room. The moment I walked out of the hotel, I felt like I had aged 10 years. 10 years of marriage, best friends, everything I thought was indestructible, all came crashing down in one night. I drove home, and it was as if my entire being had been drained of all strength. The moment I pushed open the door to my house, I couldn't contain myself any longer and fell to my knees and cried. I don't know what the future holds, but I do know that starting tonight, my life will never be the same again. For the next few days, I was like the walking dead. I took a week off work, locked myself in my house, didn't answer my phone, didn't return messages. Robin tried to contact me a couple times, but I ignored it. I need time to think, time to calm the anger and pain inside me. However, as time went on, instead of calming down, my anger grew more and more intense. Whenever I close my eyes, images of Robin and Bruce being close come to mind. I started thinking about how to get back at them, how to make them pay. As a lawyer, I am well aware of the boundaries of the law. I can't do anything illegal, but that doesn't mean there's nothing I can do. On the contrary, my profession gives me a unique advantage. I know how to navigate the edges of the law and how to use the rules to my advantage. First, I contacted my good friend Mike, who is one of the most famous private investigators in New York. I asked him to look into Bruce's company for any possible financial problems or irregularities. Mike was quick to bring me good news. "Jack," Mike said over the phone, "I found out something interesting. Bruce's company has been cooking the books for the past 2 years, underreporting income to avoid taxes. Also, they're suspected of violating food safety regulations by using some expired ingredients in their restaurants." It was exactly what I needed. I immediately started working on the whistleblower materials. I knew that Bruce's company would face serious legal problems and huge fines once this information was revealed. But that's not enough. I wanted to completely destroy Bruce's career and reputation. I started spreading negative news about Bruce's restaurant in my New York social circle. I used my contacts to quietly reveal the inside story of Bruce's restaurant to a number of influential food critics and socialites. I would say at cocktail parties, feigning nonchalance, "I've heard that Bruce's flagship restaurant has been warned by the health department several times recently. It seems they have serious problems with kitchen hygiene." Or, "I have a friend who works for the IRS. and he told me that Bruce's company has been under intense scrutiny lately. It looks like someone reported them for tax evasion. These rumors spread quickly like a virus among New York's high society. I felt a twinge of pleasure inside as I watched Bruce's restaurant business dwindle. But I haven't forgotten Robin. I hired the best divorce attorney in town and began preparing for divorce proceedings. I'm going to make sure Robin gets nothing out of this divorce. I gathered all the evidence of her cheating, including photos and recordings from that night at the hotel. I knew that this evidence would greatly favor me in court. At the same time, I have not neglected my career. I put all my anger and pain into my work. I took on more cases and worked late into the night. My dedication and excellence quickly caught the attention of the partners. Jack, my boss David, called me into his office one day. Your recent performance has been outstanding. We're considering promoting you to senior partner. I know that this post has always been a goal of mine, but at the moment, I feel no joy. I just nodded mechanically in appreciation. Just as my revenge plan was gradually unfolding, Robin contacted me again. This time, she sent a voice message. Jack. Her voice sounded tired and desperate. I know what I did was wrong. I'm so sorry. But please, can we just sit down and talk? Is this the end of our 10-year relationship? I listened to the message and hesitated for a long time with my finger hanging above the delete button. In the end, I saved the message. Maybe one day, when my anger subsides, I'll need it to remind me of what I've been through. I stood at my office window overlooking bustling Manhattan. The sun was slowly sinking in the west, gilding the skyscrapers with a golden color. I thought back to when Robin and I first met, to our first date in Central Park, and to the happy smile that spread across her face when I asked her to marry me. It all seems so far away now, so unreal. I took a deep breath and turned back to my desk. I have a job to do and a revenge to fulfill. Whatever awaits me ahead, I know that my life has changed forever, and that is just the beginning. The day my revenge program began to show results, I was in my office reviewing an important contract. Suddenly, my cell phone vibrated like crazy. It's Mike, my PI friend. Jack, you need to see the news. Mike's voice was full of excitement. Your plan worked. I quickly turned on my computer and clicked on the front page of New York's largest news site. What caught my eye was a bold headline, well-known restaurant chain suspected of tax evasion and food safety violations. The article reports in detail how Bruce's company has evaded huge amounts of taxes over the past few years by cooking the books, and how they have used expired ingredients in their restaurants, seriously jeopardizing the health of consumers. I scrolled down the page and saw a picture of Bruce standing in front of his flagship restaurant. He looked much older, his eyes full of fatigue and confusion. I felt a rush of mixed emotions come over me, contentment, but with a hint of unspoken sadness. Just then, my secretary knocked on the door. Mr. Mitchell, Mr. Connors is on the line. He says it's urgent to see you. I took a deep breath and hit the speakerphone button. Bruce, I said coldly, what can I do for you? Jack, Bruce's voice sounded almost weepy. Do you realize what's happening now? My company, my restaurant, it's all over. The IRS just left, and they seized all my accounts. Now the reporters are in front of the restaurant, and I don't know what to do. I was silent for a moment, then spoke slowly. Bruce, you should know what this is all about. You betrayed me, and now you're just paying for your behavior. A long silence fell on the other end of the line. Finally, Bruce whispered, You did it, didn't you, Jack? I know I hurt you, but… I interrupted. But what? You think you can sleep with my wife, and we can still be friends, Bruce? You ruined my marriage, and now I'm just giving you a taste of what it's like to lose everything. With that, I hung up. My hands were shaking slightly, but inside I felt a strange calm. Just then, my cell phone rang again. It was Robin. I hesitated, but picked up the phone. Jack. Robin's voice was filled with panic. Did you see the news, Bruce? I know, I said coldly. What, are you worried about your new love? It's not like that, Jack, Robin said eagerly. Bruce and I are over. It was just a mistake, a huge mistake. Jack, I know I've hurt you, but please, can we talk? I felt a wave of exhaustion flood over me. Robin, it's too late. There's nothing more to talk about between us. My lawyer will contact you." After hanging up, I stood up and walked over to the window. Outside, New York was still bustling with activity, but I felt a loneliness I had never felt before. Just then, my good friend and coworker Mike Starr walked into the office. "Jack," he said excitedly, "did you see the news? Our plan worked." I nodded, but didn't answer. Mike came up to me and tapped me on the shoulder. "Look, man, I know this is tough for you, but you did the right thing. Those two guys hurt you, and they should pay for it." I turned around and looked Mike in the eyes. "You're right, Mike. But why can't I feel any joy?" Mike was silent for a moment, then said softly, "Because you're a good man, Jack. Revenge may give you temporary satisfaction, but it won't really heal your wounds." I smiled bitterly. "So, what do you think I should do?" Mike thought for a moment, then said, "Maybe. Maybe it's time to let go of the past and start over. You know, there's a lot of good things in life waiting to be discovered." I looked out the window at the Manhattan skyline and suddenly felt a glimmer of hope. Maybe Mike's right. Maybe this is the time to start over. Just then, my secretary knocked on the door once again. "Mr. Mitchell, there's a Miss Brenda here to see you. She says it's about the West Side project." I froze for a moment, then remembered that Brenda was a representative for a new large account our company had taken on. I straightened my tie and took a deep breath. "Let her in." The moment Brenda walked into the office, I felt like the world stood still. She has soft blonde hair, bright green eyes, and cute little dimples that appear on her face when she smiles. "Mr. Mitchell?" She extended her hand. "I'm Brenda Thompson. It's nice to finally meet you in person." I took her hand in mine and suddenly felt my heart skip a beat. "Just call me Jack, Miss Thompson. Have a seat." "Then you should call me Brenda too," she said with a smile. "We have a long time to work together." Looking at Brenda's smile, I suddenly realized that maybe life was giving me a chance to start over. And this time, I decided to make the most of it. The divorce proceedings went much smoother than I expected. Perhaps because Robin had a guilty conscience, or perhaps because the evidence I had was so overwhelming. She agreed to all my conditions with hardly any objection. In court, we faced each other for the last time. Robin looked much more haggard, and those eyes that used to mesmerize me now were filled with sadness and remorse. When the judge announced that our marriage was officially dissolved, I felt a wave of relief, but with a hint of unspoken loss. "Jack," Robin called softly to me as I left the courtroom, "I know this probably means nothing, but I'm really sorry. I want you to be happy." I looked at her and suddenly realized that I no longer hated her. All that was left was a faint sense of pity. "Take care, Robin," I said, "and I wish you all the best for the future." The moment I walked out of the courthouse doors, I took a deep breath. The sun was unusually bright in New York, as if heralding the beginning of a new life. My career has grown tremendously during this time as well. That West Side program was a huge success and profitable for the company. As the principal of the project, I was unanimously recognized by the partners and was successfully promoted to senior partner. And Brenda has been my best assistant and strongest support during this process. We spent countless nights working overtime together and overcame the difficulties of the project together. At work, I appreciate her intelligence and ability. In life, I am attracted by her kindness and optimism. Gradually, I found myself looking forward to working with her every day and began to want to learn more about what she was all about. Our relationship has also subtly changed without us realizing it. Finally, at the celebration of the successful conclusion of the program, I worked up the courage to invite Brenda to dinner. "Just the two of us?" she asked with a sly grin. "Yes," I replied a little nervously. "If you'd like." "I'd love to, Jack," she said, with a glint in her eye that I knew well. "I've been waiting for this moment for a long time." And with that, we started dating. Brenda has brought me more joy and peace than I have ever known. She understood my past hurts and gave me the courage to start over. In her company, I am slowly learning to trust again and to love again. As for Bruce, I have since heard that his restaurant went into total collapse and he himself is facing criminal charges for tax evasion and food safety violations. The end result was that he had to sell all his assets to pay the fine and was placed on probation. Cheryl filed for divorce immediately after the scandal broke, taking most of Bruce's remaining assets. She is now said to be living a life of luxury with a young model. Robin, on the other hand, chose to leave New York and move back to her home in the Midwest. I get occasional emails from her and know that she now works at a small gallery and lives a quiet and fulfilling life. 2 years later, on a spring day, I proposed to Brenda in Central Park. As I got down on one knee and pulled out the carefully chosen diamond ring, the sunlight poured right over her blonde hair, making her whole body seem to glow. "Brenda Thompson, will you marry me?" I asked nervously. Her eyes instantly filled with tears, and she nodded vigorously. "I do." We were married in the early fall of that year. I watched Brenda, dressed in a white gown, walk toward me as the guests wished her well. At that moment, I knew I had finally found true happiness. After the wedding, we moved to an ocean view house on Long Island. Every morning, I would walk on the beach with Brenda, watching the sunrise and listening to the waves. Sometimes I think about the past. Those painful memories no longer make me feel angry or sad. They are just a chapter in my life that has allowed me to grow and become more appreciative of the happiness that is right in front of me. Now I have a beloved wife, a thriving career, and a happy life. I know that all of this turn of events stemmed from that agonizing night. It was that betrayal that made me re-examine my life and gave me the courage to pursue true happiness. Life is like the seasons in New York. There will always be gloom, but the sun will eventually return. It is important that we have the courage to face the storm head-on and believe that we will eventually see the rainbow. In the warmth of Brenda's arms, I knew that I had turned a new page in my life. And this time, I will write every beautiful moment with my heart. Thank you for taking the time to listen to today's story. If you enjoyed it, please like and subscribe if you haven't already. If you have a story to share about your own or someone else's experience, please feel free to contact me. Take care.